Striker, Platt! Striker! Striker!
You have no claim to his life. If you hang him, he will lose his debt.
The movie begins with a man named Solomon. He is a great violinist and famous enough to live a good life in Saratoga Springs, New York. He lived freely, despite being a black American amid slavery. One day, Solomon's friend introduced him to two magicians. They offered him a gig in Washington for 2 weeks, with a reasonable salary. He accepted the offer and immediately appeared for the performance. It was a success, and to celebrate, he was invited by the two magicians to a restaurant. On that occasion, Solomon drank quite a lot until he was drunk and unconscious. The next day, Solomon woke up and was shocked because his hands were tied, and he was in a place that resembled a prison. Shortly after, the two people from before came to Solomon. He said that he was a free man, who also had a wife and children and lived in Saratoga Springs, New York. However, the two people did not believe him. They were convinced that Solomon was a slave and a fugitive from Georgia. He tried to convince them that he was a free man, but instead of believing him, the two people beat Solomon until he lost consciousness. After that, someone else approached Solomon and ordered him to change his clothes with the clothes that the person brought. Then, Solomon was smuggled, along with some other people, in the night with a carriage. Later, he found out that he would be taken to a place where they traded slaves. He and the other slaves were then ordered to get on a ship. Someone reminded him that he had to hide his ability to read and write, because if someone from the human trafficking mafia found out about it, Solomon would be murdered. If you want to survive, do and say as little as possible. On the ship, there was a white crew member who dragged a black girl and was about to rape her. A black man then blocked him, which made the crew member mad. He then stabbed the black man to death. Solomon and the others were shocked. They were ordered to throw the man's dead body into the sea. Upon arrival at the port, they were presented to someone. Solomon tried to explain his real name, but he was instead slapped by the man. He was then gathered with the other slaves in a shelter at that place. Solomon also met Eliza and her 2 children. They were told to clean themselves and get ready. After everything, they were then displayed to be traded in the slave market. A man named Ford, who wanted to buy slaves, came. After screening all the slaves, he decided to bring Solomon and Eliza along. Sadly, Eliza had to part with her children. Being slaves, they both did not have the power to fight against him and were forced to obey. Solomon, who then changed his name to Platt, and Eliza were taken to Mr. Ford's house. Eliza kept crying because she was separated from her 2 children, which made Platt uncomfortable. He got angry while advising her. Her crying over her children made her master uncomfortable. She was then taken somewhere and has never been seen since. Platt started working at Mr. Ford's place. Being the new guy, he often got scolded by Tibeats, the head worker there. Tibeats didn't want anyone better than him and hated seeing someone stand out. Mr. Ford and some slaves went to the forest to cut down wood, but he was confused about how to efficiently bring all the wood, whether by land or by river. Platt gave his idea to tie all the wood like a canoe and let it wash away by the river. However, his idea was opposed by Tibeats, who mocked it. Mr. Ford then gave Platt the chance to show how his idea worked, which turned out to be far more efficient for the work. Thank you. He received praise from Mr. Ford and the other slaves, except for Tibeats. Even Mr. Ford gave him a violin as a gift for his bright idea. One day, Platt was given the task to make a small hut. Not liking how he stood out from the other slaves, Tibeats came and beat him. Not accepting how Tibeats treated him, Solomon fought back, leaving Tibeats black and blue. If there's something wrong, it's wrong with the instructions. Not long after, a guy named Chapin, a senior foreman there, broke up the fight and let Tibeats run away. Soon after, Tibeats came again and brought 2 other people with him. They beat and hung Solomon on a tree. Luckily, Chapin came back and threatened them all to cut off the fight, or else they would have to pay for their lives. Unfortunately for Platt, he was left behind, hanged on a tree, and nobody dared to help him. They were afraid of getting punished. He kept his foot on the ground to lift his body, preventing him from being hanged to death. In the afternoon, Mr. Ford, who had just returned, immediately saved Platt and brought him home. Mr. Ford said that this place was not safe for him. Tibeats might kill him sooner or later if he stayed. He said he would move Solomon to a place that belonged to someone named Mr. Epps to save his life and to pay back his debt to that person. Mr. Epps was known for his cruelty to all his slaves. He did not hesitate to whip them if they made a mistake. There, Platt and the other slaves were assigned to a cotton plantation. In that place, there was a female slave called Patsey. She was so good at her job, surpassing everyone there. She could gather up 500 pounds of cotton, while everyone else could only do 300 pounds or less. This made her Mr. Epps's favorite slave. One night, Mr. Epps woke up all the slaves and ordered them to dance for him. Out of the blue, Mr. Epps's wife suddenly threw a flower vase at Patsey. She was jealous because of the way Mr. Epps treated Patsey as his favorite slave and asked him to sell her. Sell little Patsey. Sell her. Mr. Epps refused the idea, making her even angrier. One day, Mrs. Epps, Mr. Epps's wife, called Platt and ordered him to go buy something for her. On that occasion, Mrs. Epps asked where he came from and whether he could read and write. Platt replied, saying he was from Washington and that he could not read or write. On his way to the market, the idea to run away flashed in his mind, but he then met two landlords who were about to hang their slaves. One of the landlords saw Platt and asked him about his master and what he was doing there. Frightened, Platt said his master was Mr. Epps and that he was told to go to the market. Hearing that, the landlord let him go. He was so afraid that he abandoned his intention to run away and did what was told to him. In the evening, Mr. Epps slinked into Patsey's room and raped her. Patsey could not do anything to resist him and was left alone after he was satisfied. The next day, Mrs. Epps ordered Platt to go shopping again. Platt noticed the roll of paper that Mrs. Epps had left to deliver to someone. Platt then stole one sheet of paper and tucked it in his sleeve, hoping that the paper would be useful in the future. In the evening, the slaves were ordered to dance again. Even Mr. Epps handed out some food to all the slaves, except for Patsey. He did this to provoke Mr. Epps, but to no avail. Her plan failed. Frustrated, she then injured Patsey. All the bad things that happened to Patsey, how Mr. Epps injured her, her worrisome job at the plantation, and the sexual assaults, made her lose hope in life. She asked Platt to kill her because she felt her life was useless. Sometime later, the cotton fields that Mr. Epps was proud of were invaded by pests. This caused Mr. Epps to rent his slaves to Judge Turner. Before letting his slaves go, Mr. Epps told them not to tell Judge Turner about his behavior. At Judge Turner's place, the slaves were assigned jobs at the sugarcane plantation. They were better there because Judge Turner turned out to be a good landlord to his slaves. There, Platt also received praise from his master for his agile performance. One day, Judge Turner found out that Platt was proficient in playing the violin. So, when a friend of his was looking for a violinist to enliven a party, Judge Turner offered the job to Platt. Plus, he could even keep his wages from the job. Platt gladly accepted the job, but before going to the party, he took the time to carve his wife's and children's names on the violin as an expression of longing. The pest outbreak in the cotton fields finally ended, which required the slaves to return to Mr. Epps's place. There, a new slave named Armsby, a white man who was forced to become a slave, was seen. He used to be a foreman. One night, Platt visited Armsby in his room, and they chatted with each other. Armsby said that he drank a lot of whiskey, so his work was no longer productive, and finally, he was fired. He ran out of money and chose to be a slave just to survive. But as a white man, Armsby received privileges from Mr. Epps. Even when he didn't fulfill the target, he was not whipped like the other slaves. Instead, he was encouraged to do better. Feeling he could trust Armsby, Platt then asked him to send a letter to New York. Armsby agreed to help him. Platt then wrote a letter with the paper he had taken some years ago, using berries as ink and a twig shaped like a pencil. A few days later, Platt was called by Mr. Epps. He found out that Platt wanted to send a letter, but then Platt acted and said that he could not read or write, and that it was a trick by Armsby so that he could get promoted. Fortunately, Mr. Epps believed him, and he was saved from a life and death situation. Platt was then forced to burn the letter that he intended to send to his family. Later, when the slaves were carrying out their activities, one of them suddenly fainted and died. They felt sad about it, not because they were a family, but because they had suffered together for many years, so they considered themselves brothers. Years later, Mr. Epps wanted to build a house. He then called a construction expert from Canada named Bass. One day, Bass chatted with Platt. He was surprised by the practice of slavery in America. He considered it a bad thing that violated people's rights and freedom. These are human beings. There is no justice. All right, universal truths are constant. What is true and right for all. One day, Mr. Epps was looking for Patsey. He asked everyone angrily, but nobody knew where she was. Soon after, Patsey came and tried to explain that she went to Mrs. Shaw's house to ask for soap because Mrs. Epps didn't give her any. She tried to explain herself, but Mr. Epps ignored it. Mrs. Epps then came and used the opportunity to frame Patsey because she was jealous of her. Provoked, Mr. Epps then ordered the other slaves to strip her naked and ordered Platt to whip her. Platt pitted Patsey, so he tried to whip weakly. Mr. Epps saw that and threatened him with a gun to whip harder. The punishment was not done yet. Mr. Epps started whipping her violently, almost causing her to lose her life. Looking at how seriously injured Patsey was, Platt felt guilt within him and destroyed the violin he got from Mr. Ford to vent his guilt. Sometime after the incident, Platt met Bass and told him that his name was Solomon and that he was an independent man who came from New York. Listening to this, Bass was shocked. Then, Platt asked Bass for help to write and send a letter to his friend named Parker about his condition and where he was. Bass contemplated, knowing it might threaten his life, but after thinking about it, he decided to help Platt. "Did you write my friends in the North? Freedom is everything, sir. Excuse me, I will write you all, sir." A few years later, a sheriff suddenly visited while Platt was working in the field. The sheriff asked who the person was who came with him, and Platt confidently said that it was his old friend, Parker. The sheriff also asked him about his real name and his family. After all the questions were answered, Platt finally hugged his friend after 12 years of not seeing him. Mr. Epps was not happy. He tried to stop those people from taking Platt away, but the sheriff threatened that he would arrest Mr. Epps because Platt, or Solomon, was a free man. He further told him that the law in America had changed. "Where's the boy? Platt, come here, boy. You know that man." "Mr. Parker. Solomon Northup is my name, and your children's names are Margaret and Alonzo. It will be my pleasure to bankrupt you. Pay him no mind. I paid good money for this." Just before leaving, Patsey appeared in front of Platt and hugged him. It was hard for him to leave Patsey, but he had to. Upon arrival, Platt changed his name back to Solomon. He was shocked to see his family's condition after 12 years of not seeing each other. While feeling guilty for having left his family for so long, he looked at a strange face in front of him. His already grown-up daughter said that it was her husband. She also said that she had given birth to a child named Solomon, just like her father.
And the movie ends. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.